If it's possible to get a job and rise to the top just because you know how to talk, well, then that's what my guest today has done. He has the gift of the gab, he knows it, and he knows how to use it. But what is he like? Well, today is your chance to meet India's champion lip shooter as I introduce you to the one and only Cyrus Broacha. Welcome to the program, Cyrus.
Okay, how much do I owe you for that, Karan? Let's begin with that. This is the nicest thing anybody said to me since Mom said I could stay at home.
Gina is absolutely right. You've got the gift of the gab.
So I just want to quickly say something. I'm the first guest you've ever had who's got sleep in his eye. And that's not because of the show or anything. It's just that early morning flight. So
You're the first guest I've ever had who started talking before I've even asked the first question,
Okay.
which is the nicest thing about this interview.
All right.
You know, you said recently, I'm a complete idiot, and I can't believe they pay me to be one. Did you mean it, or were you simply disarming your critics?
Oh, loaded question. No, complete idiot. I mean, what else is it? Let's be honest, the industry we're in, and I don't disrespect it, it pays the bills. I have a suit now. Those of my friends in school used to make fun of me, I have a suit. But, you know, it pays the bills, but it is an industry which if you take too seriously, I mean, you start losing it. We are a silly glamour industry, and a lot of what we do is, you know, it's just fun.
Yes, it's
So
fun,
an
but
idiot.
you also know the truth of the matter, that you may pretend to be an idiot, but you know it takes an awful lot of intelligence to play the fool.
I don't quite believe that. You know, a lot of this cliche goes around that, oh, the fool, the clown is that very intelligent tragedian. Excuse my stammer, the Delhi heat. But yes, I don't know. People say that all the time. They say you're actually funny, but, you know, you must be suffering inside. I'm not suffering. You're suffering because of my silly humor, but not me. So I don't know. Intelligence, we're all intelligent.
Okay, even if it doesn't take a lot of intelligence, it takes an awful lot of confidence. You only can play the stupid one when you know you're not.
Maybe. Confidence I'll buy. I'll buy that one. Yeah, we're con men. That's what we do. It's just like my marriage. Just fool the lady.
So Cyrus Broacha never has a confidence crisis.
Ask my wife. We can't have children. No, it's not quite that. It's just that, yeah, you just got to go with it, man. Just believe in it, and that's what I say. Just go for it.
And are you ever tongue-tied?
Sometimes, yeah, I have been.
What sort of occasion was that?
When Doordarshan does countrywide classroom, I don't speak. It just kills me, man. Not a word.
Let's go back to the very beginning of the Cyrus Broacha story. Your father says that you were a quiet child and an avid reader. Surely he's joking.
It's because he talks so much. Nobody else was allowed to speak. My dad's a lawyer. He comes from a family of lawyers. You could still hear the other fathers speak. You know, my forefathers and the 5 fathers above them. So yeah, everybody talks. My house is really loud. My wife's family, if I can just talk for a second, is really cultivated and soft. Wow, somebody went to London School of Economics and, you know, very highbrow like that. We're like, you know, throwing things like a Hispanic family. Hey, give me the butter. You know? And it's 12 different languages, and it sounds really strange in my house.
The other thing your dad says that Cyrus only used to read Shakespeare and the classics.
You want to believe that your son was a Sunil Gavaskar or you know, a Kapil Dev or whatever, but, you know, I guess fathers just want to believe. He turned out to be a VJ, so he just in his heart, he hopes that this was some great student of the classics. But yeah, you know, we saw Marlon Brando, Mark Antony as Julius Caesar, and then I got a little inspired. I read the play. And I was very young, I remember. I wasn't trying to show off or anything. I didn't realize that maybe you shouldn't be reading Shakespeare then. But then you think about Shakespeare.
How old were you when you picked up your first Shakespeare?
I don't know, maybe 8, 9, I can't remember.
And did you understand it?
Yeah, because I like the drama. See, I liked all the drama writers. It's not like some profound thinker was born at 8 or something. It's just that I love like Alexander Dumas, Edgar Rice Burroughs, all the drama, you know, the Buccaneers and the pirates and the Tarzans. And so he's just like a regular guy.
In fact, drama took you into Shakespeare, into the classics.
Yes, to some extent, drama did do that. Bad drama, yes.
The amazing thing is you've been interested in drama really from the very beginning. You did your first play when you were just 6. What was it?
You could call me a drama boy. My first play is 6, yeah. Emperor's New Clothes. You're familiar with the...
Were you the emperor?
No, I wasn't. We had a very ugly boy who was the emperor.
So you were clothed and he wasn't?
Yes, I was for once clothed, and God bless me. And we were 2 swindlers, just like we are today. Not us, but me and the other guy.
You picked your parts very early.
I picked my part and I played it to the hilt, just like I played the fool.
The other thing that you used to do in school was sing. You took part in a Gilbert and Sullivan opera.
Yeah, if that's what you want to call it. I'm sure Gilbert and Sullivan will be most happy. Yeah, Mikado, very famous again, Men in Skirts, the way I like it. I'm just kidding. So yeah, it was fun, but...
Which was the part you played?
I played a part of a character called Coco, now used for Labrador dogs a lot, Coco, but... It was fun. Again, the great thing was we had lots of girls, and you know how girls are in a co-ed school? Very few boys are interested in acting and all that. So if you are, you get to meet the girls. They see the other side to you. You know what I mean? You're not the typical jock then who's just playing cricket or football or whatever. So there were lots of advantages outside the creativity thing. I'm sure a lot of our great poets...
So when they say Cyrus today sings, is that all because of the Mikado and the talent that you acquired when you were, what, 8?
That's right. I went to a corner shop, picked it up, came back home. Yeah, I don't know. I sing because I was like a monkey, you know. They used to make me sing because of my dad. I'd sing all the old songs. So if I go to any of these functions and they'd call, okay, where's the monkey? Party's boring. Monkey, come here. Come on, sing.
They used to make you sing Elvis songs once upon a time, didn't they?
Oh, big, older than Elvis. Neapolitan songs. You know, I'd like to sing like Santa Lucia and songs like that.
Can you do O Sole Mio?
I can do a bit of it.
Go
Yeah.
on.
Bella cosa marinare del sol, bella cosa. Then my Italian fails me. Of course, yeah, Sole Mio, all the, you know how it is. Growing up in my house, if you did, there was always music. My mother's Catholic, my father's Parsi, so there's like Pavarotti fighting with Jim Reeves, and you know, there's Buddy Holly fighting with Elvis, and then there's me fighting with my sister who looked like Buddy Holly, and I looked like Elvis. That was then. She's beautiful now.
Bombay first came to recognize your incredible talent when you appeared in Neil Simon's Brighton Beach memoirs. You were only 14. How did you get the role?
It's interesting. I tell this story all the time, but I want to tell the truth because people think, wow, what a great talent or something in a person's life, and that's not true at all. It's always timing and luck, 90% of the time. And there was an audition, and that time they could afford to advertise. Now, theatre in Bombay, we just phone people and said, you know a person who's tall? Can he move his feet? Okay, great. Bring him, he'll become a dancer. But at that point, it was just simply in the paper, an ad, so I went for the audition, and it was for 14, 15-year-olds. That's what they said. So I rang the bell, the door opened, and a voice spoke to me, but I didn't see anyone. And Pearl Padamsi, who's no longer with us, she was at the door, but she's very short. So I was like, huh? There she was. And it was strange because everybody else was 25. And there were all these arty types with, you know, earrings and long hair and just out of school and spotting different looks and just trying to be, you know, the trying to be phase. And I was like a fattish, silly, ugly kid of 14, you know, with pimples and all the rest of it. So they just looked at that and said, that's what we want, because he's going to be this adolescent going through all these post-puberty kind of feelings, which is half the play, which actually was happening.
So you didn't act, you just lived through the role.
All these women suddenly, you know, and you're going through that thing where you only think of women and cricket. Now it's only cricket, but then it was women and cricket. So, yeah, I actually lived the role. It was the greatest growing up phase for me.
It led to, in fact, yet another great role for you. You were seen, spotted, and offered a part in a film.
I would have won the national award for Jalwa. I would have.
What went wrong?
Cut my scenes. They cut my scenes. From 4, they made it 3. No, it was a great experience. I got to work with Nasiruddin Shah, Gulanan, Pankaj Parashar. If you don't plug people, they don't work with you.
You also got to work with Archana Puran.
Oh, she was very, she still is very beautiful, yeah. Great fun. My friends used to keep, I had to hug her. So my friends used to keep asking me how many takes, you know, in typical Indian humor, how many takes. I was like, come on, man. She was like, take the filthy boy away, take's over.
And college, I'm told, was a complete lark. There was an occasion when you were way over the top and caught by the cops.
Ah, yes. Yeah, you drink too much juice and, you know, you get into a little trouble. These things happen once in a while.
Juice is not good for you.
Too much juice. I'm all for moderation. Do what you want, live your own life.
But what happened? I mean, they caught you over the juice. What do they do?
They used to have these nakabandis, and they check if you had too much juice. And I had my friend who decides that he is, you know, bigger than an ACP, which he is physically, but it's not enough. So next thing we know, we're in lockup and we're chatting with these guys, and my friend comes back with his finger and he points at me and he says, they're treating me like a common criminal. And I'm like, you know, and he was like in tears. Nobody in his whole family were doctors. He said, nobody in my family has ever been, you know, fingerprinted. It's quite, doctors today, a lot of them go
You
around,
had to get
so.
your mother come out in the morning and bail you out, didn't
Well,
you?
I didn't have $900 on me, yeah. That was the going rate then.
What did she say?
What could she say? She was like, you're a disappointment, you're an idiot, you're a wastrel, you're a fool. You become a VJ. There's no other option.
In fact, before you became a VJ, you dabbled around with a couple of other jobs. You tried your hand at advertising.
And it was very scary. First, very briefly, I was the gopher in a film unit, in an advertising film unit, and I worked on a brand, sanitary napkin brand, and it was scary.
A sanitary napkin?
I had
What were
to
you
pour
doing?
ink on the... I had to prepare. You know, for one take, you have 1, and then they have 30 reserves. I had to look after the 30 reserves, pour ink, make sure they all look exactly the same. So if one doesn't work, number 2, number 3, number 4 are all ready. And I just messed up everything. And I was feeling uncomfortable. They're all women around me anyway, and they're all giggling, and I'm like an idiot because it's my first napkin. You know, what do I know how to open it or not to open it? You know, and with clumsy hands. Then I went into advertising proper. I worked as a copywriter and for Dacunias, which does the Amul butter hoarding amongst other things. So it was fun. You read a lot. I read Henry Todd, the Rajput, whatever was available I just picked up and read because that's all you do as a
You also
copywriter.
spent a lot of time as a DJ in the early 90s when FM radio first happened. Was that when Cyrus the Virus was born?
That's it. That's the exact date. I don't really know, but they just took a bunch of us from theatre and said, okay, we don't have anybody else. You do the English slot, you do the Hindi slot, and that's it. So Mohan Kapoor, myself, Keith Stevenson, Tanaz Kareem, all of us in the
Why do you
same
think
place.
they chose you? Because of the gift of the gab?
Well, they didn't really want to bother with auditions. People are lazy. There's so much talent out there, but nobody wants to do anything. They just want to call. Do you know this one's brother, that one's sister? That's how it's done.
But did you enjoy it, just being able
Oh,
to
I love
talk
it.
into a
I
mic?
love the medium. I think it's the greatest medium in the world because you're just king. You're just king for a few minutes. It's your whole thing. I say what I want. That's
And
it.
no one replies.
You build your own culture, so to speak. So it's such an ego booster. He's like a little country, man. I say, this is my country. These are my characters. This is the way I live. This is the song I play. This is my opinion on society today. And yeah.
And the funny thing is you suddenly one day gave it all up and disappeared to New York to go into acting school. Why?
Well, I read about Stanislavski, and I've been watching a lot of American film, and I was thinking...
As one reads about Stanislavski when one's 18, most people probably have never even heard of him at that age.
Well, if you're in the line, people talk, and so, I just wanted to... What is this method? What is it all about? Why are we always over the top? Why are we always... our whole acting style is the old primitive British acting style, which is all, hands akimbo and loud and large, which is okay if that's what you really are. But sometimes I think, you never get in touch with any other form of acting. So I just want to see what it's like. And
you were looking for a bit of refinement?
Well, believe me, I need that. No, yeah, exactly. So I just went there and I said, let me check this out. But besides, I heard New York is a great city. You can get mugged at broad daylight. That's a wonderful experience.
Were you?
Some great stories. No, but I had this big gentleman come up to me, African-American gentleman come up to me and say, you want a piece? I said, he was trying to sell me a gun. He pulled out a huge silver gun. All my life I wanted a gun, but when he pulled it out like that, I was like, no, I'm from the land of peace, Shanti, I said. And he actually understood the word Shanti, left over from the 60s or whatever. So, Shanti, and he called his friends, they all laughed at me, Shanti, Shanti. So I was called Shanti.
So after acting school in New York, if I turned around and said that the reason why Cyrus the VJ is such an incredible success is because it's such a brilliant act, would you accept that?
Well, if you pay me the right amount, I'll accept anything. That's what the job
Money
is all
makes
about.
the big difference.
Correct.
Cyrus, let's take a break. I want to come back in part 2 and talk about the incredible career that you've built as India's greatest, loudest big mouth.
All right, shall I change my clothes for that? Or?
No, stay as you are.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is India's greatest talker, Cyrus Broacha. Cyrus, let's talk a little about your career as a VJ. Before you found your niche at MTV, I gather you were offered a job by Channel V, is that right?
Channel V. I'm not familiar with it. No, yeah. Well, it's a long story. Basically, the guy called Shamin Desai was in charge at that point. Very talented boy. Does a lot of videos and doing one of these new age films. Again, there's the word. And so he came up to me and he said, I'm going to make you the English Javed Jaffrey, whatever that means. I know now that that doesn't really mean much, but anyway. So I was like, okay, he heard my radio shows and stuff, and I was doing this lot of interactive phone call things, which works on radio. And so he said, okay, I like this kid, or he hadn't seen me. When he saw me, he was worried. But they have makeup now and things like that, good lighting, angles, things like that. So anyway, they sent me to Hong Kong for a test.
And that was the big mistake they made.
I didn't really like Hong Kong, frankly. And they had this director who got jaundice. You pick up a lot of stuff in the East. He picked up jaundice. I picked up 2 plastic bags and came home. So while they sorted out his jaundice and whatever, I got offered a thing from MTV which said, stay in India. And I said, MTV? What a great brand, MTV. What a great brand. I have to do that for the boss. So, yeah, and they were like, we'll be in India, don't worry.
But the truth of the matter is MTV therefore was a bit of an accident. It almost never happened.
But think of it this way, you meet this girl, and you kind of liked her, then you realize later that she's a mass murderer, and the other girl saves you, and you marry her and have 2 kids and a dog. I mean, it works out
that sounds like the story of a marriage. I'll come to that in a moment's time. But first, let's talk about MTV Bakra. It's the program for which you're best known. Why do you think it's been such a great hit with the audience?
Well, I don't want to be immodest, but it's not really me. See, honestly, firstly, it's a kind of candid camera show. And the moment we did it, there were spin-offs in like 5 different languages and 5 different styles, which just tells you that it was successful. The idea is successful. It's this real TV concept which all over the world seems to be catching on.
But the idea is to make fool of people. Do they really like being made fools of?
As long as you're not the Bakra, everybody else seems to enjoy it, I guess. Yeah, sometimes in India, perhaps not always taken so well, but we make sure that whoever's been put on television is okay with it. Once in a while, if someone is... We had a guy, we had this bhelpuri thing. He's eating bhel, and I go up to him, and every time he eats, I take one. And I just smile at him. I'm not obnoxious in any more fashion than of taking the bhel. But the guy gets angry, and after some time, he really lost his temper and आजकल के बच्चे लोग ऐसे काम करते हैं. That kind of dialogue he gave me, and he refused to accept the camera, he refused to accept the friends, the
You've
crew.
been in some more even stickier situations.
I've been hit
There was a
3
moment
times.
when you were being a barber and it went terribly wrong. You were supposed to be shaving people.
Yeah, barber once, well, twice I've been hit. You know, you can't tell. A guy has a tight jaw, he has buttons open. I tell my boss in the fly cam, we have cameras hidden, and I go like, but he goes like, into, you know. So, you know, I went for it. You got to go. It's all fight or flight. You know, you don't know what you're doing. You just have to go for it.
There was also a time when Prahlad Kakkar and your own friend Kunal Vijayakar made a bakra out of you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Don't you want to tell me about that one?
No. Yeah, I don't mind. We were doing this Pepsi commercial. I was dressed like Elvis for some reason. I'm always dressed like Elvis. And yeah, it was Chota Pepsi. Might as well give them some plug. Get some more money out of that as well. So we were doing the shoot, and I came back. I was sweating like mad, as Bombay Delhi heat is. So I got into the trailer, Prahlad's trailer. He has a trailer. We actors are given one little cupboard. So we sat in the trailer, the air condition was on, and I was talking to him about his diving, just making small talk. And suddenly this guy bursts in with a gun. Well, he doesn't have a gun then, but he starts telling him about money he owes him and not having been paid. And he could smell alcohol, and he just spoke very badly. So all I said was, "Tami se baat karo." That's all I said. And then I backed off because he was getting really loud. And I was like, a light boy screaming at Prahlad doesn't make sense, you know. But anyway, I stayed out of it because, you know, people are passionate, and why get into somebody else's fight? Before you know it, he pulls out a gun, boom, there's a shot, boom, he falls down, he rolls over.
He being Prahlad.
Prahlad. So, and the guy just waves the gun towards me. Well, all I did is, nay, like this, and move back. Now, that's just a normal reaction. But everywhere I go for a week, everybody goes, my whole office, "Hi, Cyrus," nay. You know, they all started doing this whole thing, which is fine. But I'm like,
Did you really go, nay? I thought you burst into tears and said, "Mujhe nahi maro."
And I just said, nay. There's coherence leaves you, you know, all the wit in the world can't save you when somebody pulls a gun. You just go, nay, like a horse. And I just moved back with the chair. It's just a normal reaction. Now, if somebody pulls a gun, you can be Amitabh Bachchan, but ultimately you have to go back. You know?
But at the time you were completely had. You were totally taken in.
Yeah, I was for that minute. Because in the beginning I thought maybe there's a bluff, maybe there's a bakra. But when all this abusing started, you know, I just couldn't accept the light boy abusing Prahlad because of our hierarchy that we have.
Is that the secret of making a fool of someone, that you have to do it totally realistically and perhaps go to a real extreme?
The details. The details are so important. The variables are so many. We have so many flop gags. One day maybe we can do episodes of flops, just to show everybody how much we suffer, how many things go wrong. Mobile phones don't ring, guy doesn't get in the cab, somebody else intercepts the passenger, you know, all kinds of things. Sometimes you just don't react. I mean, you can be jumping behind a guy and making fun of him and whatever, and he just doesn't react.
You know, the amazing thing is that in India, most humor is really slapstick, and yet your real gift is the gift of the gab. Does it ever depress you that we don't pay more attention to wit or sarcasm or double entendre?
You know, I mean, we've just been 50-odd years a democracy, so I suppose we'll give it more time, but we're scared. Even you, I mean, you do great shows and all that, but there's a line you can't cross, though you'd like to. Go really into their faces. You know, satire has its limits. Yeah.
And humor is one of those lines people are scared to cross?
Scared.
Why?
We can't say so many things. We can't talk about so many issues. This is sacred, that is sacred. This is taboo, that is taboo. And taboo is beautiful, by the way. Yeah, but I mean, you know,
You think part of the problem is the fact that we simply don't know how to laugh at ourselves like the British?
Yeah, that is a problem. Look at the way they treat the comedian. The comedian, Johnny Lever is a great talent, but does he get the respect the leading actors get? I think he should. But he doesn't.
We take ourselves too seriously?
We do.
Why do you think we don't have a better developed style of stand-up comedy, be it political, social, or religious?
I think that'll come with the group. I shouldn't sound like a political figure now, a statesman for the country, but yeah, I think it'll come after a few years. You've got Shekhar Soman, you've got Sajid doing his bit and all, but it's still, it still has to get more sophisticated, you know, and that'll happen slowly. People have to get in. I think the whole caste process has just held us back because we think like that. Everything is in compartments, and you know, it'll take some time.
Until we can become properly Indian, this is not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. A certain oneness, and then it'll allow the comedian, because the comedians are there. I mean, look at Jaspal Bhatti. I think he's wonderful. He's wonderful, but how far can he go ultimately? You know, they're there and they'll come up. But right now, it's all, like you said, slapstick. The roles I got offered, I won't mention, roles I get offered in Hindi films. Play the hero's brother, jump. I played a character called Happy Singh in True Lies, one show we did. He just jumps around and reads weather reports. They want you to reproduce that character. Hungary, 6 weeks, great shooting. Yaar, aaja, yaar, Hungary taking yaar, buda, fairs mein jaunga, yaar. Which sounds really good, but I have to jump like a monkey for 6 weeks there. That's my role. I mean, come on. TV, we get a little bit of respect at the end of the day.
Let's talk a little about you personally. You're hugely talented and clearly you're very, very successful, but are you painstaking and diligent?
I feel MTV's paid you a lot of money. Maybe some of the corporate brands I've been following as well. Am I diligent? Am I hardworking? No, I think it's been kind of easy in a sense. Again, not to disrespect anything.
Do you think it's been too easy? Do you think you've made successful?
No, I'll tell you what. It's like you know, you do something here and it works out there in another place. Because like when we do rehearsals for plays, for example, when I was 14 or whatever, 6 weeks, 6 o'clock in the evening onwards, you work really hard, and you know, you don't get much out of it. And here you work much less and you get much more out of it. So I guess it comes around. You know what I mean?
But do you think success has come too easily to you? People often say that he'd have been much better if he'd had to struggle more, because then he'd value himself more.
I don't know. Firstly, it's not. I don't see myself as success. I'm not Leander Pace.
And you certainly don't undervalue yourself either.
It's okay. It's a job, you know. But it's not. I look up to someone like, say, Leander Pace or Sachin Tendulkar, who you can see this is their success. It's easy to read what they've done in their life. Or even Amitabh Bachchan. This is the movie he's done. This is the play he's done.
Are you really saying to me that being able to talk cleverly and wittily is not as much of a talent as playing tennis or cricket?
I would.
Or are you just being modest?
No, it's just that, I don't know. It's a trick question. Can I have 4 options here?
You know, they say of you that he is a laugh-a-minute prankster. He's always laughing. But is that the real
My wife,
Cyrus? Is that the real Cyrus?
A lot of people ask me this question. You know, whenever we do these interviews, they want to know whether there's something. It's like they want me to be something else. I can't help it. This is it. This is it. You know, Jimmy Connors once said, you know, this is it. This is what I am. I'm sorry.
The reason people ask this is quite often this is an exterior that people put up to protect some sort of vulnerability, a shy core.
I won't say that, but I'll say when I was young, I presume at some point I must have been using comedy as a defense to getting beaten up or being friendly with people. Or it becomes part of your personality to be more than funny, just to enjoy. I think in that Oscar Wilde tradition of taking serious things trivially, it just makes me really happy during exam time to not have you know, the thing and the notes last minute. You have those guys who are like, 1526, Battle of Panipat, double T. You know, I mean, you know, what the hell? You know, it's like 7:30. Why are you studying now? So I would come and I would read a song out or something, you know, just to irritate people. And that would be fun.
But what began as a way of actually defending and protecting yourself when you were young has now become a habit and second nature.
Maybe.
You're not even 30, you're still 29.
25.
You're at the very top of your profession.
26.
Where do you expect to be when you're 50 or 60?
Probably there. No, I'm kidding.
Would you like to be here?
Yeah, I would. I really would.
You want to be doing interviews?
Perhaps I don't have your credibility, so I probably would not be able to do
thank
the
you.
work you're doing. But maybe in another fashion, maybe a slightly less serious interview. You know, supposing Karan Thapar takes the guest apart, the guest is upset and sweating, then Broacha takes over and they do a flippant interview and the guest is happy again. So it works, you know, maybe we could be a team.
So will we see Cyrus doing more interviews? Cyrus putting together the pieces that other people pull apart?
Maybe not. People have cried on this show, my friend. Yeah. I promised my dad, no tears, no emotions, but I'm kidding.
Whatever you do, Cyrus, keep us laughing, because you're one of the few people who actually brings a real, genuine smile to people's faces. Thank you for a wonderful interview.
Thank you, Karan. My money?